On the 25th of July 2000, Air France Flight 4590, a Concorde passenger jet on an international charter flight from Paris to New York, crashed shortly after takeoff, claiming the lives of all 109 people on board and 4 on the ground. It was the only fatal Concorde accident during its 27-year operational history. In 2012, 88-year-old Ida Maciel died after nurses accidentally injected chicken soup into her veins instead of her feeding tube. In 2022, while working at Home Depot, 82-year-old Gary Razor noticed Terry McMillian trying to steal 3 power washers. Gary intervened to prevent the theft, but he was forcefully pushed to the ground by the shoplifter. The impact caused him to hit his head on a flower pot, leaving him paralyzed. Sadly, Gary succumbed to his injuries later at the hospital. This is a picture of MotoGP rider Marco Simoncelli just seconds before his fatal crash. He was taken to the track hospital where he was administered CPR for 45 minutes, but at 4:56 p.m. local time, less than an hour after the accident, it was announced that he had passed away from his injuries. A serial killer named Jack Unterweger was released in 1990 after being convicted of a single murder in 1974 because he was considered to be rehabilitated. Upon his release, he became a journalist and a minor celebrity, but within months started killing again, eventually murdering possibly over 12 people. On the 29th of June 1994, Unterweger was sentenced to life in prison without possibility of parole. That night, he ended his own life at Graz Carlau prison by hanging himself with a rope made from shoelaces and a cord from the trousers of a tracksuit. In August 1980, Saudia Flight 163, which was carrying 301 people, caught fire shortly after takeoff. They managed to land the plane in Riyadh, but the flight crew failed to perform an emergency evacuation of the airplane, leading to the passing of all 287 passengers and 14 crew on board the aircraft from smoke inhalation. In 1976, Stamatis Moraitis from Greece was diagnosed with lung cancer and told that he had less than a year to live. 10 years later, he returned to the doctors to tell them that he was still alive, only to find out that he had outlived all of them. He passed away at 102 years old. In 2009, a 28-year-old man from Russia called Artyom Sidorkin went to the doctor after coughing up blood. The doctors thought that he had cancer and performed surgery to remove it. Upon removing the cancerous growth, the doctors discovered it was actually a 5-centimeter tree that had been growing inside him. The guy in this photo is Ali Khan Samsudin, a famous snake charmer who regularly performed stunts with cobras. He is most known for locking himself in a room with 400 cobras for 40 days, something most people would consider their worst nightmare. Sadly, after years of doing this, one cobra decided it had enough of the Snake King and bit him fatally back in 2006. On October 28, 2023, Nottingham Panthers ice hockey player Adam Johnson suffered a fatal neck injury from a skate worn by Sheffield Steelers player Matt Petgrave on Saturday evening. The 29-year-old was taken to hospital where he was unfortunately pronounced dead. Martin Luther King Jr. stood on the balcony of the Lorraine Motel in Memphis, Tennessee, on April 3, 1968, waving at a small crowd of supporters. Just moments after this photo was taken, he was gunned down. In 2017, 16-year-old wilderness racer Patrick Cooper was participating in a mountain race when he veered off the trail, becoming disoriented and lost. It was during this time that he encountered a black bear, which chased him down and tragically claimed his life. In a desperate attempt, while fleeing from the bear, he managed to call his family and inform them of the imminent danger he faced. This photo shows the haunting look of an 18-year-old Russian girl after being liberated from Dachau on April 29, 1945. In 2002, 13-year-old hockey enthusiast Britney Cesil was seated in the stands, engrossed in a hockey game. A player deflected the puck, sending it over the glass behind the net and tragically striking her in the temple, resulting in a fractured skull. Britney passed away just 2 days before her 14th birthday. In 2020, a 20-year-old Mexican woman was shot and lost her life in a tragic accident while filming a fake kidnapping for TikTok. Arelene Martinez, who had previously posted other phony abductions on TikTok, was accidentally shot in the head while filming a video in the city of Chihuahua. At least 10 people were present when Martinez, bound and tied to a chair, began struggling with her fake captors, and the .45 caliber handgun went off, striking her in the head. Martinez was the mother of a 1-year-old child. 21-year-old Rachel de Jong was swimming with friends at Waikato River on their way back to Auckland in February 2017 when she was swept away and lost her life after dam gates of the Arashiatia power station further upstream opened. This image shows her and her friends moments before this tragedy occurred. This is a photo of Christina Grimmie hours before she was killed at a concert. On June 10, 2016, Grimmie performed at the Plaza Live in Orlando, Florida. After her performance ended at 10 p.m. local time, Grimmie signed autographs inside the venue. At 10:24 p.m., she was approached by 27-year-old Kevin James Lyel without saying a word. Thinking he was too shy to greet her, she opened her arms to give him a hug. Lyel then pulled his Glock pistol and shot her 3 times at point-blank range. As witnesses fled the scene, Lyel was tackled by Grimmie's brother, and the men scuffled. Lyel broke free from the grip, backed against a wall, and fatally shot himself. Grimmie's official cause of death was gunshot wounds of head and chest. In March 2017, Chinese student Shin Rong chartered a plane that crashed over Manitouwadge, Ontario. His body was missing from the cockpit, and authorities speculated he may have jumped before the crash. In 2018, bones found were confirmed as his, suggesting a tragic end to his journey. Nanny was an American serial killer responsible for the deaths of 11 people between some time in the 1920s and 1954. Doss finally confessed to the murders in October 1954 after her 5th husband had died in a small hospital in Tulsa, Oklahoma. In all, it was revealed that she had killed 4 husbands, 2 children, 2 of her sisters, her mother, 2 grandsons, and a mother-in-law. She pleaded guilty on May 17, 1955, and was sentenced to life imprisonment. She died from leukemia in the hospital ward of the Oklahoma State Penitentiary in 1965. In the 1800s, Scottish surgeon Robert Liston became infamous for a surgery that led to an astonishing 300% mortality rate. He amputated a patient's leg in under 2.5 minutes, operating so swiftly that he inadvertently amputated his assistant's fingers and slashed a spectator's coattails. The spectator died from sheer terror, and both the patient and the assistant later succumbed to gangrene, marking the only recorded operation with a 300% mortality rate. On a separate occasion, while performing another leg amputation, Liston accidentally removed a patient's testicles along with the leg. In April 2009, 17-year-old Brittany Drexel vanished from Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. Her disappearance remained a mystery until 2016, when an inmate claimed she was abducted and killed. In May 2022, Raymond Moody was arrested and later pleaded guilty. Her remains were found a week later in a wooded area in Georgetown, South Carolina, about 33 miles from where she originally went missing. Patrick Carnes disappeared in Nevada in 2011. After being pulled over for a minor traffic violation, he mentioned following a truck to Elko, but the truck driver is unknown. His car was later found abandoned with his personal belongings, but no sign of him or his dog, Lucky. The case remains a mystery.